And if you could only go to the gym one day this week, and when you got there, what should the weights be? Should it be full body, or should you focus on your legs?
If I could only go to the gym one day and I could only pick one exercise to do for the rest of my life, it would probably be.
Do you know that guy?
Yeah, I don't know his program specifically. It's like as far as super simple, when people are not well versed in training, I'll typically recommend like a simple 3-day push pull leg style split because then you're going to cover everything. You're not going to have any holes in the routine. You could also do like 3 days full body and just pick one exercise per body part that you do those 3 days you train, and you can just scale up from there. I mean, if people are just wanting simple templates to follow that are effective, like I've got my own free workout app as well, and people can download that. And that's literally what I use to do my programming every single day.
What's the name of your app? I forgot.
The app is called Savage Strong for the workout, but you can get a free link to it at ketobodybuilding.com. That's where the landing page is. But yeah, I mean, there's so many templates out there. I mean, people obsess over getting the perfect program, but at the end of the day, like just doing the lifts is the key.
Do you recommend the sprinting?
HIIT style training. So high intensity interval training, sprints, things of that nature. I mean, you basically got, the low steady state cardio, and you've got your interval training or sprint work. You're obviously going to get more benefit from a velocity and explosiveness standpoint with those sprints. And you're going to burn a lot more calories in a condensed window of time. I typically don't sprint just because I'm taxing my body so much with the training that I don't want to subject it to another high, risk of injury movement. I do run on a somewhat regular basis, though. I do trail runs pretty much every other day. But generally speaking, from a cardiovascular standpoint, if the goal is composition, I try and treat cardio like minimum effective dose. Like I'm putting much more emphasis on the weight training and the nutrition, and then I do minimal cardio to elicit the response I'm looking for. You want to have enough cardio in place to be cardiovascularly healthy, but I don't really do cardio primarily from a fat loss standpoint.
Which is better for muscle growth? Heavier weight, 6 to 8 reps, or lower weight that is still hard, but you can do 10 to 15 reps? I am at my goal weight at 53 years old, and I want more muscle, and I want to lose the belly pooch. She is 53.
So this is a good question. So you've got more strength benefits that come from heavier weights, higher intensity. You've got more, blood flow, volume training, hypertrophy work that comes from kind of operating at a little bit more volume in that 10 to 15 rep range. There's benefits to both because the stronger you get, the more total volume and loads you'll be able to, work through. So I like to structure my training with a heavy hypertrophy split style of routine. So I typically train each muscle group twice a week. And then each of those muscle groups, one is with a heavy focus and one is with a hypertrophy focus. So I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds, so to speak. So that's what I would recommend.
Let's talk about creatine.
Okay.
Very hot, trendy topic over the last few years, but this year specifically, I see it everywhere for women's health, not just for muscle building and repair, but for cognitive stuff too. Have you done any research on this? Do you use it with any of your clients? Do you use a creatine?
Yeah, so creatine's great. It's kind of funny because like when I was in high school, everybody looked at creatine like they would steroids. Like, oh man, that guy's on creatine. It's like that's not the case at all.
The boys would be like, "Take my creatine," and I'm all pumped up. I got whatever you call it, the pump.
Yeah,
I got the
pump. Yeah.
Yeah.
So creatine is naturally occurring in muscle tissue, and it's naturally occurring in like a steak that you eat. The problem with that is a lot of people think, especially if they're doing a carnivore diet, eating a lot of meat, that they're getting enough through their diet alone. But in order to get the benefits of creatine, you have to kind of reach a supraphysiological dose, which you can't really just get through the food you're consuming. You have to supplement it. And in order to capitalize on that, your muscles need to stay saturated with it. So you need to consistently consume creatine. Most creatine companies will recommend like a loading phase where you're doing like 20 grams a day for the first week, and then you drop down to 5 grams a day. But then you may get some GI distress for that first week. If you just simply eat or drink 5 to 10 grams a day consistently every day, your body will become saturated with it, and then you'll get all the benefits from it. A lot of people are worried, women especially, about holding a lot of extra water weight with creatine. The thing about creatine is it keeps, basically what it does from a cellular standpoint is it helps convert ADP, adenosine diphosphate, back into ATP. triphosphate, which is where we get the energy in the cell.
Yeah.
And that occurs when the muscles are saturated with it. And you're not going to have additional excess fluid retention from it. It's basically hydrating the muscle tissue itself. And you want your muscles to be, saturated and hydrated. You're not going to be holding excess water in your subcutaneous layer of skin, making you look like you're just, fluffy or something like that. So don't worry about that.
So should I take creatine then?
Yeah, I mean, everybody would benefit from creatine. And now, like you said, all the studies are coming out from a neural, protective standpoint. So there's no
Right.
the creatine. I don't even feel a difference when I'm on creatine. Like the benefit is minuscule, but
Mhm.
that compounded over time could be profound.
Okay. Is there a brand? I've been looking at Creapure is the one that I was going to order.
Yeah, Creapure is clean. Several brands use Creapure in their creatine mix.
Mhm.
So I've used several. Legion's got a clean one. There's another one that I think Huberman's a part of. I forget the name of it. Momentous, I believe.
Yeah, that's the
That
one I
one's
was
pretty
looking
good.
at. Mhm.
Those dissolve really well in water. Some brands of creatine don't. And you
Yeah.
just need a creatine monohydrate. There's several different, variations of creatine that are more expensive, but creatine monohydrate has been around for forever. It's been studied the most. It's totally effective,
Yeah.
and it's cheap.
I've also read some stuff about how your overall health is directly related to the strength in your legs and
Hmm.
your glutes. So if people are maybe missing a day at the gym, would you say instead of hitting arms, whatever day they can go to the gym, they need to do leg strength? Is there a prioritization? If you could only go to the gym one day this week, and when you got there, what should the weights be? Should it be full body, or should you focus on your leg
If
strength?
I could only go to the gym one day and I could only pick one exercise to do for the rest of my life, it would probably be deadlifts because that is going to incorporate everything. It's going to incorporate your legs, it's going to incorporate your back, it's going to incorporate your shoulders, pretty much all of your stability muscles. Like that would be the best single exercise to do forever.
Yeah.
I don't really like recommending only focus on one body part. Like if you're doing the machine specifically, like don't just go do the quad extensions because then everything else is going to be underdeveloped.
Right.
But if you do a compounded movement and you can do it safely, then doing something like a deadlift, which is a focus on legs and back, it's still going to incorporate the whole body.
Yeah. Is there a difference between a deadlift and a RDL? Like, what's the biggest difference between those? Because I see all the girlies getting their glute workout, and they're always doing RDLs. Is that better to do the RDL, or just a deadlift in any way is good?
So they're all just kind of variations of, the grip strength, the stance of the legs, of the
Mhm.
feet, and like how much bend you have in your knees. So like conventional deadlifts, for instance, you know, you're going to have more emphasis placed on the lower back, whereas a sumo deadlift, you're going to have a wider stance, and most of the range of motion is coming from the legs and glutes. And then like an RDL, remaining deadlift, again, kind of more of a leg focus. I personally like doing both so I can kind of target both the back focus and the leg focus.
Mhm.
But deadlifts in general, like it's going to be a very similar movement pattern. So it's going to incorporate a little bit of everything as well.